Tonight, a family mourns the loss of two young girls. Another man killed in a separate car crash. The sweet outlook for the sugar industry, and two Bulldogs greats inspect a coal terminal.
Across Mackay, the Whitsundays and the coalfields with Rob Bruff. This is 7 Local News.
Good evening. Thanks very much for joining us. The two children killed in a horror crash at Sandy Creek yesterday afternoon were schoolgirls from Shalona. Emily and Alicia Sauer died instantly when their car collided with a truck on the highway. Their mother remains in a critical condition.
A trip to see family ended in tragedy just metres away from their destination.
What appears to have happened is that a vehicle has tried to turn into a driveway and has been struck from behind by a truck, which in turn pushed it into the face of oncoming traffic.
The car that was rammed from behind was carrying single mother Andrea Sauer and her two young daughters, Emily and Alicia. The girls were in grades 2 and 4 at Shalona State School.
We've seen too much of this sort of stuff. It's heartbreaking when you see particularly young children get killed in car accidents like this. Just a terrible waste of life.
Their mother remains in a critical but stable condition at the Mackay Base Hospital. The three men who were travelling in the ute were also taken to hospital, but with non-life-threatening injuries. The driver of the truck wasn't hurt. Forensic officers say it's too early to tell what caused the crash. Police say other than a small amount of smoke haze, the conditions were near perfect at the time of the crash. They don't believe the truck was speeding, but haven't ruled out inattention.
I don't think that the smoke's played any part in this particular accident. We're just imploring people, we're coming up to the end of the holiday season, the school holidays. We're just imploring people to look at the fatal fire.
Anyone who witnessed the crash is being urged to contact Mackay Police. And hours earlier, a 3-car pile-up saw 7 people taken to hospital, where a 66-year-old man died overnight. Officers are pleading with drivers to stay alert so more young lives aren't lost. Olivia Reid, 7 News.
22 people from across Queensland, including Mackay people, have been arrested on 55 drug and firearm-related charges after a police crackdown on the Sunshine Coast. Detectives seized drugs, $250,000 in cash, motorbikes and cars. Outlaw motorcycle gangs are at the heart of the raid.
They were involved in the production of amphetamines, and they had a much wider network in which they were able to distribute and move the drugs.
More than 150 police officers were involved in the operation. A new commodities report tips the total amount of cane land in Australia will grow by 25% in the next 10 years. Land that was previously used for crops is also expected to be reclaimed, particularly in North Queensland.
The Global Sugar 2021 report predicts the next decade will be a period of rejuvenation for the Australian sugar industry. Good news after recent rocky seasons.
What the report really points at, however, is of course the influx of foreign investment that the industry has received over the last few seasons, particularly from the likes of East Asian sugar milling players.
Of the 11 countries analysed in the report, Australia is predicted to experience the greatest amount of growth in the next 10 years, followed closely by the South Americas and the Thais. If the sugar price stabilises, more land is predicted to be under cane across the entire country.
We expect prices to hit around 19 cents per pound in US dollar terms in the first quarter of 2014.
Industry expansion also relies on the Aussie dollar continuing to drop.
The report ranks Australia, Brazil and Thailand as the world's 3 top sugar exporters. China and India also have massive sugar markets with strong potential for future growth.
However, Asian production is not necessarily tipped to keep up with their domestic demand. Good news for Australian suppliers.
So we continue to be in a deficit Asian region, and that's positive for the premiums we can achieve on our export sugar.
Simon Nichols, 7 News.
A mother has shared a story about how tough it can be to find affordable accommodation in Mackay on a carer's pension. The member for Mackay, George Christensen, has empathised with her, but expressed his surprise that there was no one able to help her out.
Gildas Federa has weathered a rough road. A single mum with a 25-year-old disabled son and a 10-year-old, she's homeless and struggling to make ends meet.
I mean, to get a motel room for all of us is going to cost me like $300-400, and that's my whole payment. So what do we eat?
It's taking its toll. She was in a housing commission place until 4 weeks ago, but left because she feared for her safety.
I've been to CASA, neighbourhood centre, I've been to the hostels and all that, but because I can't get into the hostel, me and my son can, but because I'm on a carer's pension for my 25-year-old son who suffers mental issues, he can't be with us.
I'm a little bit shocked that out of all of the providers that we have here in the region that this lady has been unable to find accommodation.
George Christensen says it would be distressing for anyone in the family's situation, not helped by the mining downturn and changes to federal allowances.
So that's not good for starters because it means less money that they can spend on rent or housing.
Gildas says some nights they sleep in the car. They're waiting for another housing commission property to become available, but don't know when that will be. Anita Theodoro, 7 News.
Mackay's $1.1 million Meadowlands Amphitheatre at the Botanic Gardens is finally finished. The new and improved centre is a replacement for the old Caneland sound shell, which was removed in 2010. Councillors yesterday approved its new guidelines, which include noise restrictions and health and safety regulations, to allow groups to use the facility.
It's really important that Mackay region has a variety of outside entertainment areas that we can utilise, and this is just another opportunity.
Council says the facility will be able to host a whole range of events, including markets and festivals. The new amphitheatre's first event will be the Rock Pop Mine on July the 27th. Two former Canterbury Bulldogs players have teamed up with Beyond Blue to help raise awareness of depression and anxiety. Today's workshop at Dalrymple Bay Coal Terminal was one of several events being held in the lead-up to this weekend's NRL match in Mackay.
Latest statistics show that 1 in 5 women and 1 in 8 men are likely to experience depression in their lifetime, but only half of those people will seek help. It's those figures that have driven Beyond Blue to expand their number of workshops across the country.
I was talking to the guys today about mental health signs and symptoms, where to get help, and also how they can protect their own mental health. So what are the things that increase the risk?
Today, Beyond Blue officials, along with former Bulldogs players Terry Lamb and Steve Turner, held several interactive sessions with workers from Dalrymple Bay Coal Terminal. Sporting officials say athletes, particularly young men, can also be vulnerable and less likely to talk about issues such as depression.
What we're doing, we just want to make sure people know about it and make sure they get the right people and the right advice from people.
Me retiring this year certainly opened my eyes that football's only a small part of our life, and we are people, and footballers also have the same health issues that everyday society have.
Olivia Reid, 7 News.
The city's senior citizens have voiced their concerns over the rising cost of living. They met with Shadow Minister for Seniors Bronwyn Bishop and the member for Dawson, George Christensen. Many say they can't understand why costs are still rising despite the slowdown in the mining industry.
The carbon tax obviously is something that feeds directly into that, pushing up the price of electricity and a range of other things.
Ms Bishop says many seniors now want to stay in the workforce longer and want employers to understand the benefits of hiring mature-age workers.
Retrain a senior Australian or a mature-age worker, you'll get 6 years of loyal service. If you retrain a younger one, you'll get 2 years.
If the LNP wins the federal election, Ms Bishop will be the country's first minister for seniors. We'll take a break in a moment. The beach clean-up that unearths thousands of thongs, the walk-in kind, and jewellery store staff use their inner animal to raise some money for charity.
Sunday.
Nice having you with us. 7 Local News. Well, clean-up volunteers have been left stunned after more than 7,000 thongs were collected on a Queensland beach, but not a single pair was found. The slip-on footwear was among tons of debris that washed on shore from Asia.
The beach at Mapoon, north of Weipa, doesn't attract too many visitors, but the piles of rubbish are bigger than some small cars.
So we spent 5 days and cleaned up over 11 kilometres of coastline, removed close to 3.8 tonnes of debris.
The beach was chosen because it's a hotspot for rubbish wash-up. The most common items were plastic bottles. 900 cigarette lighters were found, along with 7,184 thongs. One of the rangers bet none of the volunteers would find a set.
Put $50 down. So we did search through all of those thongs to see if we could find. There were some very close calls, but the $50 went unclaimed.
Last year at Chili Beach north of Lockhart River, they found nearly 4,700 thongs.
80% of the debris from that on that section of coastline actually comes from Southeast Asia. A lot of the debris still has labels on it, so it's relatively new and it's easy to identify.
Close to 3,500 drift nets float from illegal fisheries, one of the biggest threats to marine life.
The nets that were pulled off had the skeletons and remains from turtles in there, and that just shows how long the marine debris can float around in the ocean.
Another clean-up is planned at the end of July, but it's hoped images like these are sobering enough to make people think twice about littering and make sure their thongs stay on their feet. Kendall Gilding, 7 News.
A group of Caneland Central shops stood out from the crowd today by getting in touch with their inner animal for a good cause. Staff dressed up as popular pets to raise money for Mackay Animal Rescue Society. They encourage shoppers to embrace their wild theme, offering face painting and hairspray.
To draw attention to ourselves, I guess. Yeah. Just to get everyone sort of in, because if we were just in normal clothes, everyone no one would pay any attention. So, you know, the bunnies and get everything going on.
Some stores couldn't adopt the theme, but they donated pet food and blankets instead. The others will be in costume until 9 tonight and hope to raise at least $1,500. Well, Mackay residents have a big weekend in store for them with arts and sports just about everywhere. Kathleen Price has all the details of what's happening out and about.
Thanks, Rob. Well, I'm down here at Virgin Australia Stadium ahead of the Bulldogs Knights clash this Sunday. Kick-off's at 3 p.m, but make sure you get here nice and early to cheer on the Mackay Cutters when they take the field. I'll have more on that shortly, but here's the rest of the information on what's happening this weekend in Out and About. It's all happening at the Mackay Turf Club this week with the biggest race on Mackay's racing calendar, the Caneland Central Mackay Cup on Saturday. Gates open at 11 a.m. with general admission tickets from $25. And for the girls and guys excited about their fascinators or suits, Fashions on the Field nominations are still open on the day. And the Festival of Arts starts this Saturday with Mackay Sugar's Classical in the Canefields at Greenmount Homestead. It starts at 3 and pays homage to the guitar with 2 of the world's finest guitarists, the Gregorian brothers. The opening night concert will also be held at the Mech on Saturday from 6 p.m, and it's celebrating the My Island Home theme. And while the V8s tear up the track in Townsville, the North Queensland Dirt Drags are in action at the Serena Showgrounds. It starts at 10 a.m. on both Saturday and Sunday, with everything from peewees right through to the V8 bikes. For more information, visit nqdirtdrags.com.au. Back here at Virgin Australia Stadium, there's still tickets available for this weekend's exciting NRL match, so snap them up, visit the Mech box office or go online, mackaystix.com.au. I know I'll be there cheering on one of our homegrown stars. And don't forget, if you have an event you'd like to promote, email us at localnews@7.com.au. I hope you have a good one this weekend, and I'll catch you next week on Out and About.
Hey, Kathleen, looking pretty good in your Bulldogs jersey. I assume that was a Newcastle scarf too,
yes.
was it? Yeah. All righty. Special treat for some of our junior rugby league players at the moment, Laura.
Yes, that's right, Bruffy. The Knights and Bulldogs will run a coaching clinic tomorrow ahead of Sunday's NRL game. We'll have the details next. And former Olympic swimmer Jeff Fugel receives an honorary award in Mackay. You're watching 7 Local News. The Canterbury Bulldogs and Newcastle Knights squads will arrive in town tomorrow ahead of Sunday's NRL showdown. Local product Ben Barber was mobbed by fans last year, and Knights hometown heroes Dane Gagai and Neville Costigan can expect the same reception.
Ben Barber was breathtaking at Virgin Australia Stadium last season, and he's looking forward to more hometown heroics.
Yeah, look, he's excited to come back here. Obviously, he's got a huge family up here, extended family, and everyone will be looking forward to seeing Benny come up here and play some good footy.
Last year's Dally M medalist is nearing his best, and the Knights know they'll need to stifle the fullback.
Especially playing up there in front of his home fans, he's going to be keen to
cross that line if he can, and we're just going to have to be on our game against him.
But Newcastle have their own Mackay products, hoping to put on a show for their friends and family. Neville Costigan and Dane Gagai are also excited to play in Mackay, and so are their teammates.
Being a country boy myself, I'm keen to see a bit of footy out in the country, and yeah, I think it's a good concept.
The Bulldogs are fresh from last weekend's bye, while fresh in their minds is a humiliating loss in Newcastle in round 10.
Yeah, the boys played really well that game there at home, and hopefully we can do it again, mate. But yeah, they're a quality side, and they're playing some good footy, so it's going to be a tough game up there.
The Knights currently occupy 8th spot on the ladder, 2 points behind the 7th place Bulldogs. Nathan Ferguson, 7 News.
Cowboys forward Scott Bolton will play his 100th NRL match for the club this weekend. But it's fellow Pride player Ricky Thorby who's tipped to bring a different flair to North Queensland's pack against Canberra.
Game 100 wasn't a bolt from the blue for Scott Bolton.
I was happy with one game. Coming from Innisfail, it was something that I was very proud of playing up here in North Queensland and for the Cowboys.
But it's fellow forward Ricky Thorby that Bolton's tipped to have a big impact on Sunday.
It's a bit different running with Ricky. Ricky's a pretty up-tempo sort of player, and he hits the line hard, and he always wants to support with us.
This is sure to make Matt Bowen a little uneasy. The Cowboys' former schoolmate and Northern Pride star Hezron Murger has signed a 2-year deal with North Queensland from 2014.
At school with him when he graduated, really looked up to him since then, and still look up to him to this day.
The 27-year-old has been one of the form players of the Q Cup, his perseverance rewarded with a top-grade call-up.
In my wildest dream I wouldn't, but it is pretty big for me.
Veronica Eggleton, 7 News.
Mackay product Jeff Hugel has returned to the region. The now retired Olympic swimmer was awarded an honorary Master of Sports Science degree from the CQ University for his contribution to the sporting industry.
Here in Mackay is where my swimming career actually started, so to think 30 years ago that I'd be able to receive a Masters in sports science from my sport is something I'm really proud of.
A 34-year-old who hasn't been back home for 2 years knows his biggest fan will be glad to see him.
So to catch up with Mum tonight is going to be really good. It's something I really enjoy, and look, we'll just enjoy the next couple of days.
Hugel's currently studying finance at university in Sydney, as well as continuing to work with his sponsors and in the media. So, Rob, watch out for your job.
Okie doke. His mum will be really proud. I know that, yeah. Good on you, Laura. Thank you. We'll take a break. Weather details in a moment with Liv. Hopefully I'll be back in a moment. Scotty Hillier has a fishing report. We'll see you soon.
Light knits, heavy knits, striped knits, pattern knits, knits with studs, roll necks, V-necks, round neck knits, longer length knits, cable knits, cardigans, jacquard batwing knits, hairy yarn knits and more. Rivers, the knitwear experts.
You'll find the ultimate range of LCDs and plasmas at John Donnelly The Good Guys Mackay. Check out our absolutely massive range with online prices in-store at John Donnelly The Good Guys Mackay.
Hi there, Tony here from New Blinds in Mackay. For every blind, shutter and awning under the hot Mackay sun, look for me in the local directory. And remember, if I can't beat any price in town, I'll eat my hat. It's all about you. Give me a call and try me.
The Meg, something for everyone. Visit mackaystix.com.au.
G'day, Livia Regano with tonight's weather. Clouds are gathering across central Queensland, but any showers over the next few days should be light and fairly brief. A little bit more winds expected this weekend, but it shouldn't affect rainfall patterns too much. Today's top temperature in Mackay was 22 degrees after an overnight low of 15 and a 3 p.m. humidity of 82%. The range at Claremont was 6 to 25. To the satellite loop now. At a glance, it looks fairly bare, but if you look a bit more closely, you'll see some faint smudges of cloud, especially across the southeast, but a few of them extending north. They're basically drizzle, a very fine rain that's produced by a stratocumulus low-level cloud, and it comes from a light northeasterly breeze that gets forced under an inversion or a stable layer in the atmosphere. On today's chart, There's a high sitting right on top of the population centre of Queensland, and that's keeping conditions basically fine, except because of that light northeasterly breeze and the moisture, there is that little bit of drizzle around. As you go north, there's a light southeasterly trade. This is tomorrow's chart now. Isobars open right out, so there's sort of a dead neutral zone over most of Queensland. Winds will drop right off. There'll still be a little bit of drizzle left over because of the light northeasterly breeze, and some showers forming on the trough inland as well. On the outlook chart, the next high is still quite far away, but it already extends a ridge of high pressure into southern Queensland. In time, that's going to increase the pressure pattern in the north and eventually get some pretty fresh winds over the weekend. And now the Bureau's forecast. In coastal waters from Bowen to St Lawrence, southeast winds 10 to 15 knots in the morning, but shifting northeast in the afternoon. On Saturday, it could get up to 20 knots from the southeast, and on Sunday the same. Tomorrow's high tides in Mackay around 9:17 a.m, 9:15 at Hay Point, Chute Harbour around 9:10. Now the Central Coast and Whitsunday is a partly cloudy day, but only 1 or 2 very light showers expected. Saturday is much the same, strengthening winds on Sunday, but mostly fine. Central Highlands and Coalfields, some early drizzle with an afternoon shower possible. Saturday, Sunday, a shower in the far northeast only. Temperatures for tomorrow: Bowen 26 degrees, Mackay 15 to 25, Claremont 10 to 26, Moranbah expecting 27. The Mackay City forecast: an agreeable weekend on its way, not too hot or cold, a bit of wind, some cloud, hardly any rain. Our very own world-famous camera dude Quinn Steer took this photo just recently on his way back from Bali. You can see not 1 but 3 distinct thunderheads towering above the surrounding cloud line with their spreading tops of pure ice. And that's tonight's weather, my friends. Catch you again tomorrow, but first let's hear it from Scott Hillier with the Weekend Fishing Report.
Yeah, good on you, Olivia. Looks like a weekend for inshore waters. That wind is forecast to blow. Really good run of the tide thanks to that new moon on the way, and I can report rivers and creeks full of bream and whiting at the moment. Here's a few tips. Rivers, creeks, pontoons, marinas and wharfs are all holding good numbers of pikey and yellowed fin bream at the moment, and I expect them to be on the chew this weekend. Now, burley is always a good help when chasing a few bream fishing out of the boat. For bait, slices of fresh bait along with peeled prawns will work well, fished on a light running ball sinker. Now, the sand flats are producing some thumping big whiting during that run outside by those using live yabbies and a very light monofilament line. Now, there's been plenty of bust-ups by people fishing for whiting and hooking onto big flathead getting in on the act. Now, the muddies are also around at the moment and they are nice and full, so be sure to throw the crab pots in. Spots worth a look for the weekend will be Constant, Murray and Rocky Dam Creek, along with the city reaches of the Pioneer River. Now, here's one very happy Paddy Hurst, who sent out a floating pilchard and caught this impressive golden trevally at one of his inshore hotspots recently. Good on you, Paddy. Now, hopefully all the kids had a chance over the holidays to get out and catch a couple of fish. Good luck if you do wet a line over the weekend. And make sure you join me right here next Thursday night, 7 local news. Have a top weekend.
Scotty, you too, mate. Thanks very much. Well, that wraps it up, folks. 7 News in a moment, and we'll see you tomorrow night. Email localnews@7.com.au. From the team, good night.
Two-year-old Mitchell Sweeney